Back for episode 10 of the Debt Row podcast. My name is Davidson Baker, along with Josh Sears and Bradley Davis. We will recap all 14 matchups from week 5 in the National Football League. Guys, how we doing?
Good, man. Good.
Yep, not too bad. Got a little whiskey and Coke for the night. Did not too great on my pick 5, but we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yes, sir. One thing we'll talk about first are the dominance of the San Francisco 49ers. 42-10. They easily cover 3 and a hook. Over 45 with barely any help from Dallas. Goes through the finish line. 170 yards on the ground for the 49ers compared to 57 for the Cowboys. And this is just one of a long laundry list of reasons, Josh, as to why San Francisco was so dominant and why we're back on the same topic once again, as we seem to be every year with the Cowboys, and it always surrounds Dak Prescott.
Dude, are we even sure that Dallas is a playoff team at this point? Like, they've shown nothing to prove that they're a playoff caliber team. They've played bad against bad opponents and played even worse against good opponents.
Well,
yeah, but the NFC is just so weak right now. So I think they could sneak in as a wild card spot, but I don't know about them winning their division now.
No chance they win their division.
No, zero chance. But think about the other teams in the NFC, though. Like, teams that are going to make a run at the playoffs. In the West, obviously, the 49ers, the Seahawks, and probably the Rams once the schedule softens up. In the North, it looks like there's only one playoff team in the North, and that's the Lions. And then in the South, you have a few teams that have gotten off to a good start, the Falcons, the Bucks, and the Saints. But, right there, that's 8 teams. So one of those 8 teams is going to have to be left out. I would probably wager that team that's going to be left out is not the Cowboys.
Maybe. I don't know. If Dak's play continues like it did last night, along with play calling by Mike McCarthy, like that inspires zero confidence in me that this offense can do anything this year. Like the Falcons are running a more competent offense than the Dallas Cowboys at this point. Can we agree on that, or do you disagree?
Not consistently over 5 weeks. I don't agree.
Yeah, I think the Falcons' run game has been a lot better.
Dude,
but they have Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. So I definitely think the Cowboys' pass game has been a little bit better, but not in a way that wows me.
Yeah, without short fields created by their defense, what has this offense done?
Yeah.
They haven't done anything. They have not sustained drives. They haven't finished inside the red zone without giving short fields to begin with. This offense looks lifeless to me.
Especially finishing inside the red zone. That seems to be a trend at this point.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
As for the 49ers.
I was going to say, let's talk about the team that won this game.
Yeah, as for the 49ers, Brad, you can say I'm biased until the cows come home, but this is the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, I think in terms of all-around play, they have been playing the best out of everyone. Brock Purdy is looking solid. Christian McCaffrey is looking like a kind of sneaky MVP kind of discussion going on for him this season. George Kittle, what a monster game for him. He had 3 touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk is, I feel like, starting to become their number 1 receiver. And their defense, man. Doing that against a Cowboys offense that has playmakers, and they are capable of putting up points and coming out there and just shutting them down from the get-go, dude. It was a beautiful sight to see. Not the funnest game, but if you're a 49ers fan, it was a really fun game. Cowboys fans, not so much. But yeah, Brock Purdy's been playing amazing. I think the system fits in perfectly. McCaffrey's been playing spectacular, and like you said, they're playing like the best team in the league right now. I can't really, for a while I thought it was the Ravens, but then last Sunday they didn't really play all that great, and we'll get into that game later on. But for the most part, yeah, I feel like they're the most complete team in the NFL.
So, Brad, one thing you mentioned Christian McCaffrey as a potential MVP candidate. When are we going to start taking Brock Purdy serious as a legitimate MVP candidate? He's number one in QBR, 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah.
Like, the guy's leading arguably the best offense in the NFL seamlessly. I mean, the guy just doesn't throw incompletions. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's won, 15 straight games now?
Yes.
Yeah. The guy's never lost in his career in the regular season. I mean, we've got to start taking him serious as a top 5 quarterback and a MVP candidate. Like, the guy just wins. Yeah. It may not be what you expect an MVP candidate or a top 5 quarterback to look like, but this is what everybody wants Tua to be. But Tua's not quite this good. Like, Purdy distributes the ball better. He pushes the ball down the field better. He doesn't have these blazing burners to hit all down the field like Waddle and Hill that just pull away from everybody. Yes, Shanahan schemes a lot of things open, and the talent is good around him, but it's just something different when you sit down and watch the way Purdy does it. Like, he is on time and on point with every single drop back and pass he makes.
That's the thing, Josh. Like, when they talk a lot about, things to drag Purdy, he doesn't make mistakes. He does not make any mistakes. I haven't seen him make one egregious mistake all season long.
Yeah. And I mean, everybody's going to make a turnover worthy play here and there, according to PFF. Like, it happens. Nobody's perfect. But when you can minimize the actual detrimental mistakes the way he does, your team's always going to be in position to win. Mm-hmm. This is what Shanahan's always wanted, and now he's got it. So the sky's the limit for this team.
Yeah, Purdy had probably one of the most impressive passes I've seen from him all year. I think it was. I think it might have been George Kittle's 3rd touchdown he threw to him, but he had a linebacker just running down his face and just fucking offloaded it to Kittle. Which Kittle was open, but for Purdy to have that kind of pressure in his face and deliver a ball like that, he's playing really special right now.
The guy's cool, calm, and collected at all times.
Yeah.
Won a lot of games at Iowa State, translating it to the NFL. And you said we'd talk about them later, but let's talk about them right now. Because I got something to say about the Baltimore Ravens, man. 17-10, the Steelers win, and they reverse cover. Under 38.5, never in doubt, not even for a second. 7 drops? 7 drops or 8 drops? I believe it was 7 drops.
It was 7.
It was a lot.
You can't pin this game on Lamar Jackson. He is throwing the ball on the numbers to these guys. And I mean, everyone is blamed. I saw Bateman have a horrible drop in the end zone. I saw Mark Andrews have a terrible drop in the end zone. I saw Zay Flowers outside the numbers have a terrible drop. Just not helping out your quarterback and giving away. And then what is that play call throwing a goal line fade in the 4th quarter up by 2 when the worst thing you can do is run the ball and kick a field goal and go up by 5?
You keep the ball in your best player's hands and let Lamar make a play. You don't pigeonhole him into throwing a goal line fade.
No.
It's terrible.
I thought that play call was atrocious.
I agree.
Yeah.
The Ravens are very disappointing right now. I think they'll figure it out. These division games always get weird and wacky. But, Pittsburgh didn't win this game. Baltimore just straight up gave it to them. Baltimore's still the better team.
All of a sudden, the Steelers are 3-2.
Yeah, dude, Baltimore's still the better team. I look at this as a huge outlier. I know Tomlin does it every year. I still think Baltimore should be the favorite still to win this division. They're the better football team, top to bottom. This isn't going to be able to hold up over 17 games for the Steelers, dude. Matt Canada's awful. How does this guy still have a job? Did you see him just not celebrate the go-ahead touchdown? What?
Yeah, he doesn't want to be there.
No, dude. I think Pickett audibled out of his play call, and they scored, and he was
the rumor
pissed about it.
That's the rumor going around that he called out of it Yeah.
Well, you heard him like make a check at the line. I can't remember what the check was. I heard what the specific check was, but I can't remember what he said. He checked, and Matt Canada was not having it. So, is Mike Tomlin ever going to get rid of that goof?
No, doesn't look like it.
God, it's terrible. No. But like the Ravens have done everything they can from a front office perspective to go out and get Lamar help this offseason. They really did, dude. In a weak wide receiver class, and these guys just still are dropping.
Now it's time for them to help him,
dude. They've got to pick up their game, and I think they will. I think Zay Flowers will be better. Is Odell going to ever stay healthy? Like, probably not.
Yeah. Well, he left the game with an injury, right?
I believe so. Nelson Aguilar continued to be Nelson Aguilar and dropped the
football. He had a drop too,
a bad drop, dude. There's no one within 5 yards of him. He walks into the end zone if he catches it. Like,
4 fumbles.
I feel so bad for Lamar. Yeah. Lamar's got to be Superman every single game, and it's still not enough. It's just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous, Brad.
Yeah, you guys talked about it on the drops. Aguilar had that horrendous drop. I mean, it would have been like a 50-yard touchdown. Lamar couldn't have placed a better ball on that throw. I mean, I don't think this is the Ravens' identity moving forward. I don't think this is what the Ravens are. I think that they just went into Pittsburgh and met a Steelers team that, is kind of down on themselves right now, especially offensively. There's a lot of rumors about, Matt Canada potentially being canned, a lot of heat on Tomlin to make that kind of move. And they came out here and, kind of, put their foot down and said, no, we're not going to let that happen. I thought Kenny Pickett played a pretty good game. For the most part, I feel like, the first half, the Steelers weren't really doing too much until the Ravens kind of started shooting themselves in the foot a little bit with all the drops. And it kind of gave the Steelers a little bit more momentum to come back into this game. And props, when looking at the play, looking at the game-winning touchdown, it kind of seemed like Pickett did audible out of the play that Canada had probably given to him. So props to Pickett for that. I'm loving what I'm seeing from George Pickens too. I think that he's a super stud. He had 6 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown. So he's continuing to impress. But
yes, he is.
I think moving forward, I don't think moving forward, this Ravens team is going to be what we saw from Sunday. Also, I think I read some kind of story where the receiver coach for the Ravens was having their receivers.
They're catching rugby balls.
Rugby? Why?
Let's never do that again. I mean, really.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Throw that method out of the fucking window. That's so stupid. I do not understand that. And it probably proved why that method fucking sucks balls, because they dropped 7 damn passes. So, get rid of that shit, and let them start catching actual footballs. But feel bad for Lamar in this game. He played really good, but just couldn't get the job done at the end, I guess.
If I'm a Steelers fan, I'm begging that we stop giving the ball to Najee Harris.
Immediately.
Bro, he's terrible. He's running in quicksand every single week.
14 carries, he averaged 37 yards.
Yeah. And dude, not even the stat line. Ignore the stat line completely. Just look at him play football.
Slow.
He looks like Jerome Bettis at the end of his career. Dog,
oh no,
it's terrible.
But he's not even getting the touchdowns.
It's painful to watch, dude. He looks like it hurts him to run the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Checo without the juice.
Yeah. And without, like you said, without the productivity either. I mean, he has. Yeah. I don't even know how many touchdowns he has this year.
I don't think he has one.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know if he has.
I don't think so either.
But that's enough on that game. Let's move on. I just had to get that in there because dude, it's bad.
Big stretch for the Steelers coming up at the Rams, and then 3 home games in a row with the Jaguars, Titans, and Packers, obviously after their bye coming up this week. Before we all woke up, the Jacksonville Jaguars, well, maybe not before woke up, but were fully awake. The Jacksonville Jaguars took first place in the AFC South before later being tied by another team that we'll get to later. They ended up almost reverse covering the 5.5, but they were underdogs, so they won the game outright 25-20. The under was never in doubt until it was at the end of the game, but it barely got across the finish line. 25-20. The Jaguars take care of business at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and send the Bills to 3-2. This was a big Trevor Lawrence and supporting cast on offense kind of game. The defense came up big in a lot of ways too, keeping them out of the red zone for most of this game, keeping them out of the end zone when they needed to. Buffalo looked sloppy. Buffalo looked like a team that, was not taking advantage of the whole hotel thing that we had talked about last week.
Yeah.
11 penalties for 109 yards, 5 of 12 on third down, only had the ball for 21 minutes in this game. And Jacksonville outrushed them 196-29.
Yeah.
It's not going to win you a lot of games.
Yeah.
Man, you said not most of us weren't up. Unfortunately, I could have watched this game even if I was on the West Coast. My dog had me up so early.
Yeah.
So I was wide-eyed and bushy-tailed to watch this thing, unfortunately. But like you said, Buffalo came out very, very sluggish, and the defensive injuries just keep mounting up, dude. Like, by the end of the season, there's going to be nobody left on the defensive side of the football for this team. Who all went out? I mean, Tre'Davious White was already out. Teron Johnson went down. I think he came back in. Middle linebacker, Davidson. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank.
Milano.
Yep.
Milano got hurt. That's a big loss for them.
Went down. It's terrible loss for them. So, I mean, if these injuries keep mounting, I am very concerned about Buffalo's defense. With the Tre'Davious White before, I thought they could piece it together in the secondary. But I don't know, man. The way things are going, it's getting slim pickings for them. I thought Josh Allen looked good down the stretch after a terrible start, but he finally looked like he woke up, and right around time where it would have been 1 p.m. kickoff.
Yeah, right around.
Yeah. So the last 2 or 3 possessions, their offense kicked it into gear. But also, can we stop getting Stephon Diggs temper tantrums on the sideline? I'm so sick of these diva wide receivers.
That seems to start. That seemed to start becoming the norm.
Yeah, it's really annoying. Like, it gives me New York Giants Odell Beckham vibes. But Trevor, I thought, played phenomenal football. I'd like to start seeing him stack up the touchdowns a little more. Like, the guy is just phenomenal every week. He's so on point and accurate. He is not getting enough credit for how good he's been so far to start the season. One, because he's plays for Jacksonville, and he's also dealt with a lot of drops just like Lamar. I mean, the amount of touchdowns I've watched this guy have dropped so far this year is terrible. Yeah. Calvin Ridley finally looked back to his week 1 form this week, and if that can continue, I mean, this team, Jacksonville is another team that I think the sky is the limit for as these parts start to mesh together. The defense looked pretty good this week. I don't know how much of that is because it was a London game, but if that defense can continue to play like they did and the offense continues to round into form like it has looked for the last 2 weeks, you got something brewing in Jacksonville. Brad?
Yeah, I was up early Sunday morning making some breakfast for me and the lady. Made some French toast, some sausage, some eggs. And the way that I was cooking, the way that ETN was cooking, I feel awful for trading ETN in one of our fantasy leagues. He had a monster day Sunday morning.
For Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I know. Listen, at the time it sounded right, but now it sounds like a nightmare. But ETN, man, he went for 26 carries for 136 yards and 2 touchdowns, and also had 4 catches for 48 yards too. So he's kind of showing himself a little bit to be, kind of a dual threat running back in that sense. Jacksonville, I think the biggest thing that we've talked about, for the beginning of the season was their red zone woes. They haven't really been that productive inside enemy territory. And this game, they capitalized on all those opportunities. So, props for them slowly getting that, back on track and becoming a really, dominant red zone threat. The Bills, for the most part, the first half didn't play all that great. I didn't really like what I saw from them. Their rush game, their rush attack this game was just pitiful. Davison, you talked about it. They were averaging 2.1 yards a carry for the whole team in the rush game. That's not going to do it for you. You need to have some balance there so Josh Allen doesn't have to play hero ball every game. Stephon Diggs had a really good game. I always find it weird why receivers will do that. It's like, bro, you had a monster game. Why are you acting up on the sideline, dude? Like, you did your part. The defense just didn't really come through. But, and you also talked about Calvin Ridley he came back finally. He had some pretty sloppy 3 weeks, but kind of looking like the Calvin Ridley from week 1. So that's pretty encouraging for this Jags offense. But I think ultimately the biggest thing in this game was what we kind of talked about was, the Bills coming in on a short week, the Jaguars being in London for a week and a half already. So I feel like, overall the advantage was there for Jacksonville just because they had already been there. And were able to, rest up while the Bills were having to travel and get adjusted to the time change. So, yeah, Jacksonville, I think they're finally looking like the team that I think we all thought they would look like going into the season, which is pretty impressive.
How about a team that we would have never expected to look the way that they currently look 5-6 years ago?
Yeah.
The New England Patriots are fucking abysmal.
Yep.
34-0. They're playing like it right now. 34-0.
Yeah.
Besides in Charlotte.
It's 69-3, I believe, in the last 2 weeks, or 72-3 in the last 2 weeks after 38-3 against Dallas. Back-to-back weeks, Bill Belichick receives his largest loss as a head coach in this league. Where to start? You give the Saints credit. They made plays in this game. They made on both offense and defense. I think they had an interception return for a touchdown. They were always around Mac Jones in this game. And when the Patriots had the ball, nothing was going whatsoever. 1 of 14 on third down, 0-2 on fourth down. The Saints had 12 penalties in this game, and you would have never thought that it affected them whatsoever. 8 first downs total for the Patriots in this game. You look around Mac Jones, there's nothing there. There's nothing explosive in the run game or the pass game. And this team is trending, especially if they lose to Vegas this week, this team is trending into the Caleb Williams conversation at this point. This is a bad football team.
It's there.
Yeah.
Here, I don't really have a whole lot to talk about with this game, to be honest with you. I didn't watch a whole lot of it. I'm sure you did, Brad, so I'll give you most of the time on this game. But I just want to pose one question. Is there any chance we see Bill just hang it up like mid-season?
I don't think so.
I don't think mid-season, but
frustrating as coaching Mac Jones looks like it is right now, and with his whole defense dropping like flies, well, I wouldn't be surprised if he's just like, yeah, man, I'm done. I'm retiring, and hands it over to Bill O'Brien for the remainder of the season.
I think he wants to break Walsh's record.
Is he gonna? Like, you've got to win. Like, you've got to win games.
What is the record?
Let's.
Where's Belichick at, and where's the record at?
You've got to win
games right now.
He's not doing that New England.
Yeah,
Don Shula,
Mac Jones, man.
Yeah,
Don Shula, not Bill Walsh. Yeah, I don't know. He's still got 30. Yeah. He's still got 29 to go.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. How many teams? Then this is gonna sound stupid, so don't just bust out into laughter. if he is out of New England after this season, how many teams are actually beating down Bill's door to come in and coach their team?
I had someone say the other day, if 3 coaches became available, Bill Belichick would be the least desired of the 3.
You have to change your entire organization.
Mike Tomlin, Bill. Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick. Is Belichick the least desired of the 3?
I want either of the other 2.
It's hard to disagree with that.
The only way you bring Bill in is for a team like maybe the Chargers, because there are win now ready teams.
That feels like a perfect scenario.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing: you have to completely change your whole organizational philosophy when you bring in Bill.
Yeah.
You can't have him as
culture
GM.
Shock, man.
You can't have him as GM. Period.
But it's like even just from the coaching standpoint, it's a complete culture shock to what that team has. And to what any other coach is going to bring in at this point. So
he would have to.
If you're giving that team the option of those 3 coaches you just named, they're taking either of the other 2.
Yeah,
and I feel perfectly good about it.
Yeah, and my thing with Belichick is he would have to go to a front office that's willing to give him full control, which
it's not happening.
I'm not too. Right now, I'm not too sure. Yeah, maybe the Cowboys. Maybe the Cowboys go after him if they
he's not going
let go of McCarthy.
You think Bill's dealing with Jerry?
I think Jerry would do it because it would. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because the Cowboys were kind of in conversation.
Bill wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I think Bill would do it if he had control. I think if Jerry came to him and was like, "Hey, I'm going to let you have complete control," but Jerry isn't going to let that happen either.
There's never complete control with Jerry, even if he says it.
No. I mean, because there were trade rumors about Sean Payton maybe going to Dallas.
That's different, though, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hell,
I don't see Belichick
Sean Payton. He kind of had a. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We talked about it in the preview. New
York or back in Cleveland.
Yeah, I know Davison talked about that a little bit.
Like
I know. So I think one team would
Cleveland.
Do it. Yeah. Who?
Or not anyone in specific, but some team that.
A team probably would do it.
Yeah.
But I just can't put my finger on which team it would be at this point.
Yeah.
And you look up now, and the Saints are 3-2.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to keep this short. Great to see the Saints score above 20 points. Haven't seen that since fucking I don't know. So great to see that. Pete Carmichael kind of came out and he did a lot in terms of things that I criticized in the past games. There was a nice little shovel pass to Foster Moreau, which was pretty cool. Something I would have never expected Pete Carmichael to pull out of his bag of tricks in this game. But I kind of feel like this was a game where he took a lot of that criticism from a lot of fans and analysts and kind of put it to rest for 1 week at least. But the main focus here was the Saints defense. They came out here, they balled out. Tyrann Mathieu had a pick six. Carl Granderson had the strip sack as well. So overall, I really love what I'm seeing from the Saints defense. Liked what I saw from the Saints offense as well this week. They capitalized on red zone opportunities, which historically Derek Carr is not that great in, but he actually played really well in the red zone this past Sunday. So good to see Alvin Kamara is looking like a stud. He actually broke the franchise touchdown record for the Saints, so that was pretty cool to see as well. So, happy to be a Saints fan Sunday. So let's see if they can continue the momentum against the Texans.
That'll be an interesting game on Sunday. All teams in the NFC are looking up, not like in a hypothetical sense, but are looking up in the standings to the 49ers and Josh's Philadelphia Eagles. 23-14. The Eagles get it done again and cover again. What a shock. The under was never in doubt in this game. 50.5, never sniffed close. Man, I thought the Rams were going to be giving them a lot more hell as this game began. Yeah, I mean, Cooper Kupp was wide open the entire first half.
Yeah.
It just comes down again. to the run game, Philadelphia outrushes the Rams 159-54 and almost gains more than 100 and did gain more than 150 yards. Jalen Hurts a pretty clean game in a pretty clean pocket. And in the second half, they just started to wear down on him, Brad.
Yeah. This was more so of a game of the Rams not being able to capitalize on a lot of scoring opportunities. I thought Cooper Kupp looked amazing coming off an injury. He seemed like he hasn't missed a beat since the last time he played, so that's very encouraging to see. But for the most part, this was the Eagles just dominating on the line of scrimmage from start to finish in terms of the run game. I mean, Hurts had 72 yards rushing. Swift had 70 yards rushing, both averaging above 4 yards a carry. So, whenever you're a team, you love to see that. A.J. Brown continues to dominate. He had 6 catches for 127 yards. Dallas Goedert had a game for himself. So good to see you there. But yeah, for me, it was, the Eagles just dominating from the beginning, kind of controlling the clock in terms of time of possession. And I thought the Rams offense looked pretty nice in the first half, but coming into the second half, they kind of staggered a little bit. They weren't really as efficient as they were in the first half. So I think that's what kind of going into the second half just died off for them in terms of their offensive firepower. I mean, Williams didn't have that great of a game for them. He was averaging 4.1 yards a carry. So you kind of want to see a little bit more productivity from him. But I mean, he also only had 13 carries, so the Rams kind of moved away from the run a little bit. But for the most part,
I would take 4 yards per carry every day of the week. Personally.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he only had 13 carries, like I said. So, Matthew Stafford had 37 pass attempts. So, you always want it to be a little bit more balanced than, and especially against the Eagles defense that, can kind of sniff out what you're trying to do offensively. So, yeah, but for the most part, Cooper Kupp had a really solid game. Didn't look like he missed a beat, but ultimately it was the Eagles, dominating the line of scrimmage from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, week in, week out, Philly's offensive line dominates. We know that. Anytime an offensive line gets 2 to 3 yards of push in the proper direction, you're going to be a good running team. But for me, the more impressive part of this game, Philly's defense stepped up and played well. Better than I've seen so far this season.
Yes, they did.
With a lot of backups playing. And against a Rams offense that has been humming. Getting Cooper Kupp back to go in there with Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell, Kyron Williams. Matt Stafford's been operating this offense to a T. So seeing the Eagles come out and play that well defensively makes me feel a little bit better about this team. I know you can't feel so bad about a team that's played as well as they have to start the season, but I still had my reservations going into this game, as is well documented on this podcast. And my bet slips of fading them weekly. But
constantly, man.
Yeah, that might have to stop because they showed me a little bit more this week than I've seen.
It ain't stopping for me this week. We're on the Jets this week.
On who?
Yeah.
The Jets.
Oh.
They're touchdown dogs against the Eagles, and we'll get into that tomorrow, but that might be in my pick 5.
I haven't started looking ahead to next week yet. I mean, anytime you're talking fade the Eagles, you're talking my language. But I might have to.
And the 49ers Browns over are going to be in my pick 5.
I might have to investigate this a little more, but because if this defense plays like it did against Matthew Stafford, Zach Wilson's in for a world of hell. But we'll get to that tomorrow. What we got next?
Excited for some of the games that we'll talk about tomorrow. Next, is he back?
This is a shocker.
He's back.
I don't know how shocking it is.
For me, it's shocking.
This is what we've become accustomed to seeing out of this offense. We just didn't know when we were going to see it. Talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, who went to the State Farm. Is it State Farm Stadium? I think it's pretty much called State Farm Stadium. Went to State Farm Stadium and took care of business by 2 touchdowns, 34-20. Covered the 3, over 45.5. Arizona kind of started to look like who we thought they were. Shout out Dennis Green. as ironic
They are
as
who we
punt
thought they were.
Yeah, even though he was the Cardinals.
We let him off the hook.
The stats don't really jump off the page. You know, they got outrushed by 50 yards, but it was just it looked like the coming out party for this season in a game that the Bengals had to have. And I thought it was big for them seeing the Ravens lose too, because I mean, you look up and they're still right in the thick of this division. That doesn't seem, Josh, like there's a team that so far has taken control of it. Yes.
No.
Yeah. I mean, the Ravens are the best team in that division, and they just seem to not want it. Like, Cincinnati, when healthy, is just as good. I still don't trust that Burrow's healthy, obviously. He made a nice deep ball to, was that Jamar? He hit that deep ball too for 6?
Think so.
On the post route, I think it was Jamar. I mean, it probably was, dude. He caught 15 passes. But, yeah, I mean, seeing Joe be able to hit a deep ball like that is very inspiring for the hopes of this Bengals team this year. Because I really did, like, before this week, I didn't think he could push the ball down the field with any accuracy or that kind of depth to his passing game at this point. Like, there's been nothing to prove that to me. That's why I was on Arizona in this game. I mean, I thought if they could keep them playing the short to intermediate passing game, they had a major advantage in this game. And Josh Dobbs kind of finally started to turn back into Josh Dobbs. What did he throw? Did he have 3 picks, I believe, in this game?
2.
2 picks. But, I mean, yeah, he didn't play like he has been playing to start the season. Hate to see that for the rocket scientist. But Bengals did what they are supposed to do with a team like this. So that gives me a little bit more hope, and is going to have to change my viewpoint on this team going forward. That's for sure.
Yeah. Burrow having a game like this, I think, was much needed for him. Jamar Chase played out of his mind. 15 catches for 192 yards and 3 touchdowns. That man is open. That man is fucking open. Give him the ball. And also, the Cardinals, they've been playing pretty solid the first, 4 weeks, but I think they were bound to have a game where their true colors started coming out a little bit. I know James Conner got hurt a little bit later on in the second half, so I guess that's something to kind of keep an eye on for the Cardinals moving forward. I know Marquise Brown has been kind of talked about in the trade rumors a little bit, so I guess that's also something to keep your eye on too. But for the most part, I think this was a game where the Bengals came in and they knew they had to win and they had to dominate to kind of get that confidence back into them. Especially, like you said, in a division where it's kind of wide open right now. Even sitting at 2-3, you kind of feel comfortable, about where you're at as a team, especially the way that you played this past Sunday. To be fair, against a Cardinals team that isn't all that great, but a Cardinals team that's been kind of feisty these past 4 weeks. So I think for the most part, this was a very, confidence booster for the Bengals and something to kind of keep their momentum alive in that weak division that they're in. Not weak division, but more so a division that no one really seems to want to grab a hold of and take by its tail.
Did you say something about a Marquise Brown trade? Yeah. I think Arizona is idiotic if they trade Marquise Brown. He seems like he should be a core building block of the future for that team. This team's not that far off. They're really not that far off at all. Also, don't think they should be in the quarterback running this draft cycle, but that is also going to be for a podcast at a later date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like they will be, just based out of the fact that they will be super high. I mean, if they're not picking number 1, then we'll see how that changes things for them.
You take Marvin Harrison Jr. and Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu and run it to the bank if they're both available.
Yeah,
right.
In my opinion.
To a team that does not have a quarterback issue whatsoever, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Vikings.
Oh, what? Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, dude. I don't know. Mahomes, man, he might be on the hot seat.
Yeah, right. Here's what I'm sick of, though. The people that have the gumption on social media to kind of go, wah, 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 the refs always help the Chiefs, had a lot of ammunition to use from this game because the refs helped the Chiefs in the last 4 minutes of this game.
It was bad.
L'Jarius Sneed not only clearly interfering, but then taking his helmet off and the referee saying to him to put your helmet back on was one of the more wild things I've seen in the under 2 minutes in this game with the game on the line.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, dude,
come on,
also
man.
Not gonna angry fantasy owner gonna sit here and gripe and be like, oh, they hurt Justin Jefferson. But dog, they straight up mugged him all game, dude. They were treating him like he was they were the bad boy Pistons and he was Michael Jordan. They were beating the shit out of him. Dude, it was unreal the stuff that they got away with. But they continue to win. They're still the Chiefs. They still have Patrick Mahomes back there playing quarterback, but they're very, very vulnerable. This is the most vulnerable Chiefs team we've seen in the Patrick Mahomes era. Right? They're gonna have to win games. They're gonna have to win games different ways, like running the football and defense, which is funny to think about with a Patrick Mahomes-led team. And it's also kind of scary to think about. If you can lean on a running game in your defense, and then whenever you just need a big play, you can be like, oh, yeah, we got this guy. That's tough if they can still win games doing that, which is kind of what they did here. They ran the ball really, really well in this game. And last week, too, Pacheco is just a stud.
Did you guys see on Twitter hashtag Swifties against turf?
Yeah.
No, I'm not on. I try to ignore that side of Twitter.
People coming out in support of Travis Kelce getting hurt by the turf monster in the first half.
He ain't hurt from the turf. This is a lingering injury from his initial injury.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
I think it's an overcompensation thing.
Swifties be like, well, if it's not the turf, who do we have to blame it on? It has to be the turf.
Your 34-year-old tight end getting old.
What do you mean? It's the turf.
The Chiefs are 2-0 since Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift been dating. 3-0. They're 3-0.
Yeah, whatever.
Bro, just let it keep on going, dude. To kind of go off what Josh was talking about, I thought it was a very impressive win by the Kansas City Chiefs. In the fact that a lot of the receivers for the Chiefs right now aren't stepping up. It seems like none of these receivers want to be the guy. And that's kind of concerning moving forward, especially with Kelce dealing with these injuries. You're not going to be able to kind of lean on him the way that you want to in this offense. So, we're going into week 6. Someone has to step up. Sky Moore's not doing it. Rashee Rice kind of did this past week, but only had 4 catches for 33 yards. So, nothing world beater out there. Justin Watson, he's okay, but they have to have someone step up. Someone besides Kelce.
It's necessarily a case of these guys not even wanting to. I just don't think any of these guys are capable of stepping up and being the guy.
Yeah.
And also, let's think about Andy Reid's track record. Has he ever been great at drafting receivers? Yes, Tyreek Hill, but that I don't give him any credit for that, dude. That's just a lucky hit. It happens. Yeah. Everybody comes across. But in Philly, Jeremy Maclin.
He had Deshaun. He had Deshaun Jackson.
Jeremy Maclin was Chip Kelly.
That was Chip Kelly. Who did he ever bring in though?
He had Jackson. He had
Deshaun Jackson. Okay.
Yeah, he had Deshaun Jackson. He did have T.O. He had T.O., but he didn't draft T.O.
Stop it.
Stop it. He didn't have.
I heard that.
Who'd you say?
Jason Avant.
Dude, stop that. Yeah, but seriously, it's a whole laundry list of Jason Avants.
Yeah, I could see them being a team that kind of goes after a a receiver come the trade deadline. But I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he's a stud. You know, he's the best quarterback in the league, no doubt. So he's always going to come in clutch, even when his receivers are kind of lackluster. But yeah, this Minnesota rush game has not been all that great. Alexander Madison has not been that solid. He had 8 carries for 26 yards and 3.3 yards a carry. Not going to do it, especially in an offense where you need to be more balanced going up against the Chiefs team. Time of possession is very key when you're playing this team, so they didn't really do that well. Jordan Addison kind of stepped up, which is cool to see, their first rounder. Play a pretty good game, but obviously the big blow for the Vikings is Justin Jefferson being out. How long he's going to be out? How long is he going to be out? Will be a testament to how well they are once he's able to come back off IR. And I know they have some pretty tough games coming up, so I don't know. I mean, they do play the
next 4 at the Bears, 49ers, at the Packers, at the Falcons.
Yeah, so I don't know. There are some winnable games there. The 49ers, you can already scratch that as a loss. But without your main number one receiver out there, it's going to kind of, neutralize your offense a little bit compared to with Jefferson out there. So I'm not too sure. I mean, Addison had a really good game once Jefferson came out. So, I think that there's a lot to look in terms of hope there, but I don't know. I think the Vikings are kind of teetering on a team that if they lose this week against the Bears, they might start looking towards the future and start offloading a lot of their players and kind of just be like, hey, Jefferson, we'll sign you to a big contract. You rest for the rest of the year, and we'll start looking towards the future in terms of quarterbacks. But, overall, pretty impressive win by the Chiefs. The Vikings just continue to struggle, especially in one possession games. Last year they were 13-1 or some shit against one possession.
Some absurd number.
Yeah.
But
So
that was due to regress.
Yeah.
Dude, most
if
definitely.
If you're the Vikings and you're not on the phone fielding every trade offer for Kirk Cousins, Harrison Smith, and Danielle Hunter right now, what else are you doing? What else is there to do? You're not buyers. This is an organization that I think just wants to middle for the rest of time.
Yeah.
They'll win 6-7 games this year and draft at number 13 and take Bo Nix.
Hey, Bo Nix, dude.
Jesus Christ. Hey, with that, we like Bo Nix. Yeah, okay.
Good luck with that.
It was the Nate Hackett revenge game.
The revenge game
for this weekend. A lot of narratives from this game from the offseason, and
it was a Breece Hall revenge game.
It really was.
The turf, brother.
Against the turf.
He tore his ACL last year.
That is true, yeah.
There were 5 turnovers in this game. There were 8 fumbles in total. 4 of them were lost. Denver only had 308 total yards, less than 200 passing yards once again. The Jets committed 9 penalties, 5 more than the Broncos.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where the Jets were able to capitalize on a few more opportunities than the Broncos were. The Broncos were in the red zone and were able to convert those trips into touchdowns after a while. And look up now, the Jets needed that win to save their season because they could have very likely been 1-5 going into the bye before they played the Giants, Brad.
Yeah, the Broncos are I think the same way we talk about the Vikings. I think once the Broncos lose this Thursday, which we'll talk about tomorrow, once they lose this Thursday to the Chiefs, I tend to look at them as a team that's going to start offloading a lot of their players before the trade deadline. It is not working
with Randy Gregory out the door.
Yeah. So exactly. So I think this is a team that is just not playing good football, especially defensively. I mean, you let up 234 yards. The whole team, the Jets team averaged 7.3 yards a carry. That cannot happen in the NFL. Never. I don't like that. Just can never happen, especially when you let up two players. I mean, to be fair, Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson had 8.7 yards a carry, which is crazy to think about for a quarterback like Zach Wilson. But as a defensive unit, you cannot allow that to happen. And that's where the Jets won this game. They won it on the ground. Breece Hall went crazy. He went for 22 carries for 177 yards and a touchdown. So for me, that's where the Jets really won this game. And also, the Broncos kind of not capitalizing on a lot of those red zone opportunities. Russell Wilson looked very average compared to what he has been looking. And I will say Wilson has looked better than he did last year, but not so much to where it makes me feel confident about them moving forward with him as their quarterback. I mean, this Broncos team is going to be like desperately looking towards the future. And do they have their first round draft pick this year? Do they have that this year?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so they're going to be, I think, especially Sean Payton, a dude that last year when he was doing a lot of his coverages for games and whatnot, talked a lot about Caleb Williams and how much he liked him. I think that he's starting to look towards that. He's wanting that. He's wanting Caleb Williams, and which would kind of be crazy to think about Caleb Williams and Patrick Mahomes in the same division. But that'll be next year's story.
Plus, we're gonna talk about those two teams tomorrow because of course, like once again, the NFL thought we needed Chiefs Broncos in prime time 2 more times this season. Both of the games are in prime time, bro. Both of them.
Gotta get flags.
To be fair, before the season
can't be this week.
Before the season, before the season has started. Yeah, go to the next one. Before the season had started.
Stop trying to shove Chiefs Broncos in primetime down our throats.
No one wants to watch it.
We've had enough. They haven't beaten the Chiefs since 2015.
Was that Peyton Manning? Wow. Was that with Peyton Manning?
Yes.
No. It was.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, God damn, that was fucking forever ago then. I don't know. The Broncos, man, they're terrible defensively. You got to start looking towards the future, I think, with the Broncos and what they're going to do at every position and every coordinator position too, because I think next year it's just going to be a clean house. I think Sean Payton's just going to be like, you know what, fuck it. We're going to clean house. We're going to do what I want to do, and let's do it. But at the same time, he kind of did that this offseason. So I don't know. It's a mess in Denver.
Yeah, just like this game, a mess.
A mess.
I mean, dude,
yeah.
It's another game. You didn't need to watch it. There's no point in betting anything in this game. I took Denver. Regretted that. Just a waste of a game. Doesn't matter.
Hey, one thing I will say, Quinnen Williams is no longer the best could no longer be the best Williams brother in the NFL. His brother, Quincy Williams, has been a motherfucking monster.
He has been, dude.
And he forced the fumble. That's not a slight to Quinnen. I'm just really pointing out how good Quincy Williams has been to start this season. And he forced the fumble that effectively ended the game on Sunday. And he was all over the place in the Bills game too. He has looked so good to start the season, and the Jets end up kind of saving their skin a little bit. I'm ready to definitively make a declaration here. I think the Detroit Lions are a threat in the NFC.
Yeah.
I really do.
Hard to tell. They didn't play anybody this week.
42-24. They beat Josh's beloved Carolina Panthers.
It wasn't even as close as the score says.
No, it wasn't. It was over in the first half. They got out to
over from the opening kickoff.
It got out to a 28-7 lead right away. And I mean, from there, it was just garbage time stuff. On the bright side, Josh, Adam Thielen isn't washed. Adam Thielen looks great.
Yeah. Cool. Our 33-year-old receiver looks awesome.
If only you guys hadn't traded away a number one receiver that's playing in Chicago right now.
Now we're looking to trade more draft capital that we don't have for a wide receiver one.
When we have one.
Here's what we need to do.
Moore. Yeah.
Here's the fix. Obviously, we're not winning anything this year. Call up the Bengals. T. Higgins. Even if he's not officially on the books or on the block, he's on the block. Offer up Brian Burns. Get T. Higgins.
Just a straight up. Just a straight up trade.
No, it's going. For me, it's going to take a couple picks. It's going to take a couple picks.
Yeah.
You're saying offer up a pass rusher?
Yep, for T and some picks.
No.
Dog, we're not signing him.
It doesn't.
What are we gonna do?
Are you gonna sign T. Higgins instead?
Yeah. Bryce got to throw the ball to somebody other than old ass Adam Thielen.
I don't know. When it comes to pass rushers, like
we're just gonna go out and sign a bunch of fucking DJ Charks in the offseason anyway.
Yeah.
Why not give some money
DJ
to
Chark?
T. Higgins? Nah,
give credit.
Don't try to give
credit
me
to DJ Chark, dude.
You're gonna get me fired up. Don't give me any false hope. No one should get any targets other than John Bingo right now, and just let him develop as much as he possibly can. I think he had 7 targets in this game. Still not enough.
Yeah.
Feed him the football and hope he turns into 75% of what DJ Moore was.
Yeah.
Like, it's bleak. It's bleak. There's nothing to look forward to in Carolina right now. Like, I could have my whole own separate podcast about this franchise right now and the utter despair state we're in, where our fucking owner thinks he can coach the team. Like, I don't care if we drafted Bryce Young. I don't care if we drafted C.J. Stroud. I don't care if we drafted Anthony Richardson. None of them are succeeding in Carolina right now. You could put Jesus Christ under center, and he's struggling with this offense, dog. It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
Detroit can run the hell out of the football.
Yeah.
It's not great, and they are staring the Miami Dolphins on the road down the chute next.
Lay them.
Yeah.
Lay 13.5 with Miami.
I don't care. The number could be 1 million. Lay them.
So I was going to ask, what if you had a gun to your head and you had to lay a 2-touchdown spread next week? Would it be Miami over Carolina, or would it be Buffalo over the Giants?
Miami.
I'm taking Buffalo.
Miami might drop another 7. I'm sorry to say this, Josh, but Miami might drop another 70 points, dude. I'm sorry to say it, but they might.
It doesn't matter. Both teams are covering. Yeah. It really doesn't matter at this point.
I would feel more comfortable taking Buffalo than I do Miami.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
At least the Giants have a capable play caller. We've seen Dayball be good with that team. What has inspired you by Frank Reich that he can call any offense right now?
Hasn't been great so far, and that was kind of the problem.
We just throw screens all over the place.
Yeah,
it's just screens and dump offs everywhere. It's like he's still coaching Matt Ryan.
Yeah,
Colts Matt Ryan.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, I should have.
You gonna talk about the team that won this game?
Yeah. The only thing I was going to say about the Lions was anytime touchdown Montgomery is a must go for the rest of the year. For the rest of the year, he had a monster game, but
they fooled me with Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, no, they fooled everybody, dude. They fooled everybody. Hey,
can we talk about what the Lions should have done in the draft? Dude, you pack first round picks and go up and get CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, Jared Goff's going to get another contract.
Has been playing really good.
He's fine.
He's going to get another contract at this rate.
He's fine. Yeah. But guess what? That CJ Stroud behind Jared Goff for a year, let his contract expire, sounds eerily similar to Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes. Not saying CJ Stroud's going to be Patrick Mahomes, But the teams are on a similar trajectory when you think about what the trajectory was for that team back when Alex Smith was there.
You're saying they would have had to trade up to 2 to do this?
Yeah, dude, they had 2 firsts. You can get up there easily.
Hey, who's the Tennessee quarterback they drafted? Oh my God, who's the Tennessee quarterback they drafted? Yeah, Hendon Hooker, dude.
Hendon Hooker.
Fuck off.
The next Patrick Mahomes, dude.
No,
he's going to be 35 by the time he gets his first start.
Yeah.
Yeah, Goff's getting another contract, guys.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
mark my words.
He
Goff is going to get
I
another
don't think it's the right move, but now you're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah. I don't know. He's playing really good. I mean, he's playing really, really good. I think
they missed out on extending their window. Their window is what it is right now with Jared Goff, 2 to 3 years, in my opinion. You trade up and grab C.J. Stroud, you have a Super Bowl window this year, and probably for the next 10 years plus with Stroud.
Yeah.
With that team.
At the same time, Goff is a quarterback that did take, he didn't solely take the Rams to the Super Bowl that year.
He was along for the ride.
He was along for the ride, but I think it's the same thing here. I think it's the same thing here.
I'm not trying to slander Jared Goff at all, by the way. Like, I think he's a good, capable starting NFL quarterback, and that's about it. Like, I don't think he can ever go out and win you anything. He still made some poor decisions against Carolina's sorry-ass defense, dude. Like, I watched way more of this game than I should have. And Goff's good.
Yeah, I didn't watch a lot of it.
But he's not ever going to be a guy that just gets you over the top. When you don't have your A game that day, he's not going to just find some extra juice and go win you a football game. He's never done it to this point. What's going to change now? You know what you have in this guy.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel. I mean,
that defense has been playing a lot better than I thought they would. Montgomery's been playing a lot better than I thought he would. So I don't know. I mean, and hell, they put up 42 points without Gibbs and Amon St. Brown Jr. this week. Yeah. So. And Sam Laporte is looking like a stud right now, too.
Yeah, tight end university.
But you're always looking to upgrade at every other position in the NFL. I mean, they had good, capable running back play last year, and they completely changed that room. So why aren't we always looking to upgrade at quarterback when you just have an average quarterback at best?
Yeah.
If you don't have a top-tier guy, I'm not saying you need to fire it up and burn everything down after a year. But you should never be closed-minded to the idea of getting a guy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Until you've got a guy, you should always be looking for the guy.
Right now, I think they believe that Goff is the guy. Goff has been one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL this season. To what I guess we'll have to wait and see until the playoffs come, because they will be there. No one else in their division.
They're 100% going to be there.
No one else in their division is
first-round exit written all over
them. The Indianapolis Colts are tied for first place in the AFC South, 23-16 over the Tennessee Titans, who continue to fail miserably on the road. Richardson goes out in this game again. That's got to be a concern at this point. We're 5 games into the season, and he has only been able to finish 2 games. 1 game, right? Because he missed one entirely.
Yep. Left this one.
He left the first one and left the second one.
He left the Jags game with like a minute left, so like it wasn't
so a minute left.
Still.
But technically he's only finished 1 game.
Yeah.
It's concerning.
I mean,
very concerning.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I talked about going into the season. I did not like Richardson going to the Colts just because I know how this organization runs their quarterbacks. They literally abused Andrew Luck, had him retire super early. They got rid of Peyton Manning. Yeah, Peyton Manning. After he suffered a neck injury. So, like, this isn't really an organization that's had a really good track record in terms of keeping their quarterbacks healthy. I really wanted to see Richardson go to a team that would sit him for a year, let him develop, let him become the quarterback that I think he can be, which he has been. Don't get me wrong, he's been playing exceptionally well, but with a team that isn't all that great, especially at the offensive line that is kind of questionable now, given a lot of his injuries for the first 3, 4, 5 weeks. Sorry for the first 5 weeks, is a little bit concerning. Like you said, Josh. I thought Gardner Minshew came in and played, good enough to win them the game and hold on to the win. Zach Moss, my God. I mean, do the Colts have? I don't want to say it. Do they have a running back kind of issue, especially with how much money they just paid Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss is playing at the level that he has been playing? I don't know. I'm very curious to see how that goes. I don't know if they would have been better to move off Jonathan Taylor, given how much they just paid him. But Josh Downs continues to impress. He had a really solid game. But for the most part, the Titans didn't really do too much offensively. I know DeAndre Hopkins had the best game of the season for himself, 8 catches, 140 yards. But for the most part, the Titans' offense was just kind of stagnant. They weren't really doing too much, especially on the ground. Derrick Henry is kind of just continued to slow down week to week. He only averaged 3.3 yards a carry against a Colts team that hasn't really been that great against the run. So that's a little bit concerning. But for the most part, I am worried about Richardson. It sounds like he's going to be out for at least a month. So we'll see how that develops going forward.
Josh, it's coming back.
Fuck.
Yeah, always.
The Titans as an organization just bore me. Top to bottom, everything about that team just bores me, and I don't like watching them play football. So I will not lie, I did not watch a lot of this game. As much as, and especially once I heard Richardson went down. After that, I didn't watch any of this game. I'm not even going to front. That was the only incentive for me to watch this game, was watching Anthony Richardson. Both these teams, to their core, their style of play without Richardson playing, just bore the hell out of me. The Colts will still be fine. Minshew's a perfectly capable backup. Hell, they're not out of that division race. I mean, they're very much alive in that division.
All 4 teams are going to be alive in that division, in my opinion, until
Tennessee's not. Tennessee's not alive.
I don't know. You might have to shave that head.
0 life, dog. They can't win a road game.
Shave that dome. Yeah, they can't.
They can't win a road game.
Yeah.
They can't really the score doesn't represent, they aren't close in road games. This game was never in doubt to me.
Yeah.
Just Tannehill looks old. They don't want to give the ball to Derrick Henry for some reason.
Tajay Spears had his first touchdown in this game.
Yeah, cool, dog. Derrick Henry is there.
Cool. Yeah,
I know.
I don't know.
The other team in that division that we've yet to cover so far, the Houston Texans. Man, this was a great game for a quarter. It was a little sloppy throughout most of it, but in the fourth quarter, it went back and forth. And Atlanta, you want to talk about depended on who covered, depending on what ticket you had. I mean, there were 1.5s everywhere. There were 2s. There were 2.5s. And depending on what ticket you had was dependent on whether you won or lost, because Atlanta won this game by 2, 21-19. That's why you got to just take the money line sometimes. That's what this guy did.
Eat the juice, baby.
Just take the money line.
Okay, never mind.
Under 42.
It closed at 1.5, right? You said.
I put the I put the closing lines
not
on
for
the board,
us, but
right. I got it at 1.5 on Thursday.
The actual game closed at 1.5.
No, the actual game at game time closed at 2.5.
Oh, did it?
Yeah,
okay.
That's what Action said. That was according to. I think it also depends on where you got it too. I mean, every book was hanging different lines.
Yeah, this is a line that did move a ton.
Yeah, it was moving all.
Big sharp game.
Yeah.
Here's where we can all eat crow for a moment. This was the best game of Desmond Ritter's pro career, without question.
Oh yeah,
without any doubt. Yeah. 329 yards, quarterback rating of 111.2.
He won them this game.
Yeah, he did. He went out there and needed to win them this game, and he did.
I will give him credit where credit is due. He played a damn good football game that I, quite frankly, didn't think he was capable of doing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, what has he showed in his pro career to this point that made anyone think that he could do that? So kudos to Desmond Ridder. And if he continues to play like that, this team is very much alive for. Sorry. Sorry, I got caught up in the Middle Tennessee State game. I got a first half spread that I'm sweating right now.
It looks okay.
I think he just scored a touchdown, but
we'll see.
Yeah, so Desmond Ridder, very good. If he continues to play like this, then they are right in the thick of things in that division race, and I may be losing another side bet I made. Also, I didn't tell you all this. I made a bet before the season with another buddy of mine. I bet $50 that Carolina would win the division. He bet $50 that Atlanta would win the division. If anybody else wins, it's a wash.
So you're saying let's go Saints and let's go Bucks.
Oh no!
Wait, there's more.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said, if either of our teams finish last in the division, person has to spend 24 hours in a Waffle House.
No.
Oh, no, dude.
You eat a waffle?
Yeah.
You better get ready, dude. You're about to eat a lot of waffles.
A lot of
24
time
hours.
in a Waffle House. I'm
about to bring your wallet.
What do you do when you go into that? Like, do you tell them what's going on?
Oh, 100% I'm going to tell them what's going on. And I'm going to also have my pocket probably loaded down with airplane bottles to pour in my coffee or whatever.
Dude.
You don't have to spend 24 hours in a Waffle House if you get kicked out of the Waffle House.
Yeah. The Debt Row podcast goes to Waffle House to watch Josh
live stream in the Waffle House. Shit, I thought I'd just throw that out there when it hit my brain.
Yeah. This game pissed me off because the Texans had my upset. They had it right in their hands, and then for some reason they decided to play prevent defense with 1:30 left in the game. I have no idea why a lot of teams like to play prevent defense in those kind of situations. I've never understood it. It allowed the Falcons to drive the ball down the field to kick the game-winning field goal. So, but I mean, like you guys said, you got to give props to Desmond Ridder. He played probably the best game he's ever played in the NFL. Was really exceptionally great, especially in the second half. But for me, the biggest thing still is the Texans. They look solid offensively. They've looked really good. Even defensively, they played really good too. Barring the second half blender towards the end. But for the most part, Desmond Ridder, best game that he's played in his NFL career. Bijan Robinson's a stud. Kyle Pitts, we actually saw Kyle Pitts utilized, which is a rare sighting to see in Atlanta.
Him and London both had a good game.
Yeah, exactly. You want to see those two, first round picks, actually utilized in your offense. So that's pretty exciting to see. So for the most part, Desmond Ridder had his best game, like I said, of his NFL career, and the Texans, for the most part, kind of gave the Falcons a win with a prevent defense with 1:30 left in the game.
It's going to be a snail race.
We were going to get to make some jokes about Drake London being the best quarterback on the roster.
Oh yeah, dude, he did have a completion. That's right.
Yeah. Nice reverse trick play. Hey, he stepped up in the pocket too, showing some awareness, man. He stepped up in the pocket, delivered a strike, lefty.
Yeah, give me Drake
London.
Only
Tua can do it.
None of us do.
Yeah, dude.
Las Vegas 17, Green Bay 13. This game was tough to watch, man. I think we watched a football game last night between two bad football teams. I think that's really what this came down to.
Yeah. Green Bay might be in the quarterback market.
It doesn't look great so far, man. Like the play calling,
paying him, he's almost due.
And plus, last night at least, I know it was different last week. He was spreading it around a little bit in garbage time when they were down by 3 touchdowns. But last night he was throwing to Christian Watson and tight ends. That's it.
Yeah,
he was not looking anywhere else.
Don't have receivers though, dude. Like. That receiving core is not good. You can try to sell me on Romeo Dobbs and Jaden Reed and save it. Like, these guys are not good. They're a step above what's in Carolina right now just because Christian Watson's in the building.
Yeah.
But without him on the field, it's pretty much the equivalent of what's going on there. Like, it is not good. This is a bottom 5 receiving core in the NFL he's got to work with. So you can only put but so much on him. But you still got to make better decisions, dude. 3 picks is inexcusable.
Especially against that defense.
It's a terrible defense, dude. The Raiders are not a good football team. They're not a well-coached football team. Like, Green Bay, you can at least say, we think is a well-coached football team, right?
Yeah, I mean, it feels
that
way. But, dude, can we just discuss, does Josh McDaniels just do whatever you're not supposed to do in those late game decision-making situations? 17-13, under the 2-minute warning, you have Josh Jacobs in the backfield, and you just have to pick up 1 yard. I went to the bathroom. And I came back out. My girlfriend exclaims, "Oh!" And I'm like, "What? Did they not get it?" And she was like, "No, they missed a field goal." And I said, "They kicked a field goal?"
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Dude, he's shaking a magic 8-ball to make his decision.
Dude,
he's straight up on the sideline like this.
You can't blame analytics.
What do I do here?
Yeah, because the analytics would say go for this.
Especially
kick the field goal.
Especially earlier in the game, they ran a quarterback sneak with Jimmy Garoppolo and they got it on 4th and 1. So it made no sense why they would kick the field goal, and give, Green Bay an opportunity to go down the field and score a touchdown if they miss it. Right. So, I don't know. Going into the season, Josh McDaniels, I always thought he was a pretty subpar, head coach. Great coordinator, but kind of meh head coach.
Is he a great coordinator, though?
He's not a great – okay, let me backtrack that. He's not a great coordinator, but I think that he's a serviceable coordinator. But not a good head coach. Josh Jacobs had an okay game in terms of what he's been doing these past few weeks. I know last week he had a really big game, so kind of good to see him kind of start getting his rhythm back a little bit. Jacoby Myers continues to make Patriots fans wonder why the Patriots got rid of him.
Yes,
and decided to bring in Juju Smith-Schuster
on that roster right now by
far. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if the Packers are going to be in a quarterback search come the offseason. I still think that they want to see what they have with Love. I think that with Love, it's a thing where he sat his first 3 years. He played a couple of games, but for the most part, he still kind of is a rookie. He's still kind of learning who he is and what kind of identity he's going to have going forward in his career.
I feel like you can figure it out pretty quick when you've had a guy in the building for that long and he comes out and plays as poorly as he has to start this year. You got to be on the move fast.
But at the same time, Rodgers didn't really have that great of a year his first year. I mean, they went 6-11 his first year. 6-10. Yeah, they went 6-10 his first year as a starter. So, it's definitely going to be a lot of growing pains in Love's first year, especially like you said, Josh, with their receiving core. It's not all that great.
Not good.
I mean, Christian Watson, sure, he's okay, but like he doesn't stand out as the number one weapon for them.
He's just a vertical threat, man.
Yeah, and I mean they didn't have Aaron Jones in this game, so that's another key offensive player they didn't have. But AJ Dillon did step up and had a pretty good game on the ground. But for the most part, I think this Packers team is just on that side of they have a lot of playmakers, but they're not as good as they were with Rodgers. Which, to be fair, that was going to happen. Aaron Rodgers, arguably top 10 greatest quarterbacks of all time. So, coming off of that and going to a quarterback who has only had really like 2 appearances in the regular season, definitely is going to make your team a little bit less efficient as they were with, Aaron Rodgers.
The 5th-year option wasn't even applicable with Jordan Love. I forgot because they signed that little 1-year extension. So he's there under contract through next season.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it looked decent to start the season, but I think losing Bakhtiari was a really big deal. Max Crosby was in his face all night last night, and the Lions were in his face all night last Thursday night.
Crosby, dude, he's becoming like one of the best pass rushers in the league.
Oh yeah,
I feel like
no doubt about it. He wrecks games. No longer relying on their own futility to recover for Caleb Williams are the Chicago Bears. 40-20. The offense has figured it out.
So far.
The over almost was covered by themselves. I went to bat heavily for the over on my perfect pick 5 last week. And this was one of the picks. The over was never in doubt in this game. Yeah. But this is 2 weeks in a row that the offense has seemingly been on track. And, the defense could still have problems. And yikes, Washington has to look themselves in the mirror and wonder what the hell happened after a great effort against Philadelphia. They were 2-0 out of the chute, and now all of a sudden, you look up 2-3.
Yeah, I'll also take a little feather in my cap on this game after telling you to sprinkle the money line.
The money line, yeah.
Getting laughed at. But no, I mean, it was a laughable thought. It really was. But I don't know. Stars just seem to align for this game. And through the last 2 weeks, like, don't get me wrong, the Bears aren't competing for anything this year. They're not going to be good. But Justin Fields looks promising.
Yeah, could he be saving his skin?
If the Bears are smart, if the Bears are smart, he should be. Because it doesn't make sense for me to start over again. You have 2 probably top 5 picks. One of them is probably going to be the number 1 pick. You hold the key to Caleb Williams. What kind of compensation are you getting in a trade back scenario for that?
Yeah,
you're getting anything you want.
You're getting whatever you want.
Yeah, literally.
Like, we've never seen anybody trade up for a prospect of this stature.
No.
Yeah.
So you hope and pray to God that Carolina continues to be what they are. Newsflash, nothing's changing.
Yeah, they will be.
So you're going to have the number 1 pick. Trade that. Get anything and everything you possibly can get for it. And then you look to go get Marvin Harrison Jr. and the top tackle of your choosing. And continue to build around Justin Fields. There's no point in dropping another rookie quarterback onto this shit roster.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
If you roll out next season with Justin Fields, let's just hypothetically say Joe Alt at left tackle and a few guys in the offseason to bolster that offensive line, DJ Moore on one side, Marvin Harrison Jr. on the other side, and Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, and then your stable of guys in the backfield with Herbert and Roschon Johnson. That sounds like a prolific offense to me, or at least the potential for one.
Yeah.
Right? Like, am I crazy in feeling that way?
Well, especially with, the offensive coordinators coming into this next season that are going to be looking for head coaching jobs. Ben Johnson, dude, if he's looking for a head coaching job, I would be looking at the Chicago Bears and being like, shit, that looks intriguing, especially if they have the opportunity to get Marvin Harrison Jr. That looks very intriguing.
If Justin Fields, that is, I feel like if you're sticking with Justin Fields, you also have to stick with Eberflus. Because
I don't think so.
How do you sell an incoming coaching candidate by saying, yeah, you've got to have Justin Fields as your quarterback. You can't take Caleb Williams at 1. Nobody's taking that job. They're waiting for whoever trades up to go get Caleb Williams, because whoever trades up to go get him is also probably out of a coach, in my opinion. Yeah, but you're not linking yourself to somebody else's quarterback.
Yeah, but if Justin Fields is playing the way that he has been playing these last 2 weeks, I don't think there's a scenario where a coach comes in and goes, yeah, I want to move on from that. Like, if he continues to outperform the play calling and the head coaching, woes, I think there's an opportunity where a guy comes in and goes, I love what I see from this. I'm going to build off this. DJ Moore, my God. Thank God. In one league, he fucking cooked me. In another league, I thought he was going to cook me in fantasy. Thankfully, I came back and won. But what a performance by him. My God. 8 catches, 230 yards, and fucking 3 touchdowns. This was the guy that they wanted in that trade deal. And, well, not the guy they wanted, but the guy that they end up getting. Because I know they wanted Burns. Is that correct? Is that who Chicago wanted in the trade?
Sure, but if they didn't want, if DJ wasn't the guy they wanted, they're stupid.
Yeah, because he's balling. These past 2 games he's shown he's going to be, Fields' number 1 option if they continue with Fields down the stretch. The Commanders' defense is not that good. They've been letting up a lot of points. And also the Commanders' offensive line continues to struggle. I think now Sam Howell's been sacked 30 times. I think that's where it's at. 30.
A little faster too, though.
Like, oh my God, it's terrible, dude. It's really bad.
He played a pretty good ball game, but he holds the ball entirely too long.
Yeah,
a lot of those sacks are self-forced.
Yeah, and I think Washington does have something with Howell. He's got to kind of, tune it down a little bit with his turnovers, and like you said, Josh, with holding on to the ball a little bit too long, which with a young quarterback like that, you're going to have those situations where he doesn't really know where to go. So, there are a lot of learning, pains that he's going to have to go through before he can kind of be the quarterback that he wants to be. But for the most part, Washington's defense is not that good. They've been letting up a lot of points and a lot of yards through the air and on the ground too. So not really something you want to see from their defense. I will say Virginia Tech native Logan Thomas is kind of coming into his own. I know these past few years he's kind of dealt with some injuries, so it's cool to see him kind of step up and be a really reliable tight end for this Commanders team. So, but for the most part, this was Chicago coming out here, I think, desperately needing a win. I think Justin Fields needing to show that he can be that quarterback that everyone thought he could be coming into this season. So, pretty cool to see Justin Fields come out here and put on a performance like that Thursday.
And finally.
Yeah, finally.
If I were to have told you on a scale of between 1 and 10 of how surprised you would have been, if I would have told you the Giants were winning the turnover battle 3-0, and the Dolphins were not only still winning this game, but they were still covering 12.5. How surprised would you have been? 3-0.
I'd probably still believe you, dude. Honestly, I'd probably still believe you.
3-0 the turnover battle went, and the Dolphins still racked up 524 yards. I mean, this is just good Miami, bad New York Giants.
Basically.
Kevin
Miami
Achane,
me a
though.
little bit, though.
Achane might be out for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Well, Miami just in general kind of concerned me in this game. This game was way closer than it ever should have been.
Well, one was for a pick six that went 102 yards. So without
Again,
that,
you can't be having that against bad football teams if you're Tua.
Right.
You can't do that.
Batted up in the air.
Yeah.
You can't try to force those throws though, man. Like especially down in the red zone, you got to take care of the football better there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were some times where the Giants did move the football pretty well. Miami's defense is still a major concern to me. I don't think it's a good unit at all. So, I can't take this team serious as a title threat until they shore up that defense. And without Achane, their running game's going to be good still. I mean, it's well schemed up by Mike McDaniel. But I don't know if Tua goes out and wins you a ball game in the playoffs in the cold weather in Buffalo. I don't think that defense can stop Buffalo or any of the other top offenses in the AFC for that matter. Are they shutting down Trevor Lawrence and the Jags come season end, come playoff time? Probably not.
Not.
Well, cool thing about the Dolphins is they already played in Buffalo early on this year, so they won't have to travel to Buffalo later in the year.
Unless it's playoff time.
Unless it's playoff time, but right now, Miami does have the upper hand. They are 4-1 right now in that division. So, and they're playing they're not playing a terrible schedule coming up. I think Buffalo will, but right now the Dolphins,
the head-to-head matchup. So that's the most important part right now.
That is true, but yeah, for the most part, I thought Tua's turnovers were a little bit concerning. But for the most part, I thought in this game, Miami's rush offense was stellar. I know Achane is probably going to be out for a couple weeks, but they still have Raheem Mostert. I know that they still have Wilson. Jeff Wilson. Yeah, Jeff Wilson Jr. Yeah, so he hasn't even came off. I don't think he's even come off IR yet because of the way that Achane's been playing. So I think that he'll come off IR this week and they'll have him back. So that's another threat for them in terms of the run game. Tyreek Hill is a fucking god, dude. Oh my God, he's just. It still surprises me the Chiefs got rid of him. I understand why they did, but at the same time, it's like, man, dude, he's so good. Daniel Jones. Not it. Very concerning for the Giants moving forward, especially with all that money they paid him. I don't know what they do, especially if they continue to play this way. I know Jones did. What did he suffer an injury? Did he suffer a significant injury, or was it like a concussion?
I think it was.
Okay, so he'll probably miss this upcoming week.
Next week.
But
Taylor Cook.
I mean, what happens if Tyrod comes out next week and actually plays really well? What happens? Because, I mean, if he comes out here and he plays really well with this offense that Daniel Jones hasn't been playing well in, I don't know what's going to happen, especially with them paying Jones, but also Dayball is, fresh. He just had his first year last year, won, Coach of the Year. If it continues to go down this way, I don't know what the Giants really do because they're just kind of stuck in the situation where they have a coach that they really like, but they have this horrible contract with Daniel Jones that they really can't move off yet. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how they handle that. But also Darren Waller had a really good game. He's been kind of absent from this offense, so kind of good to see him get into rhythm a little bit. But for the most part, like Davidson said, this was a good team, bad team type of game. I never really saw the Giants really have an opportunity to win the game, especially with the 2 turnovers that they had off Tua. Dolphins, if they continue this route, they'll be pretty comfortable in their division going forward.
I'm excited to talk about some of the games we're going to talk about tomorrow. including leading off the show with everyone's favorite NFL primetime matchup, Broncos and Chiefs. But we
Broncos country. Let's ride.
We have Seahawks, Bengals on tap this week. We have Colts, Jaguars for a battle of the first place teams in the AFC South. Lions, Bucks, Cowboys, Chargers as well. So pretty good. Yeah, I've been thinking about that game for the last couple days, and it's just like, could you have? Oh, that's on Monday night. Could you have two
that needed to be a
less
Thursday
appealing
night game?
Could you have two less appealing head coaches facing each other in a game?
No, that had Thursday night football written all over it. What
McCarthy
a missed
and Staley.
Dog,
it's going to be a matchup for the ages.
Yeah.
Let's see how much longer that's Staley's job.
Well, we'll dive into it all tomorrow. There will be a big changing of the guard in the Pick 5 standings that we will get to as well. But until then, my name is Davidson Baker. For Josh and Brad, we will see you on episode 11.